making friends after 60 can feel harder than it really should be. And the thing you have to know is making friends after 60 in retirement is one of the most important things that you need to do to build your community and have a support system.
The problem is you're going to make friends, you're going to make acquaintances, and there are some mistakes that you're going to make along the way that you can control. You know, Mark and I always say to people, if you're lonely, let's just start with the first part of that sentence. It's a you thing. So get yourself out there, and we're going to talk to you about the mistakes today that people make so frequently that are easy to correct.
And the same mistakes that we made. You know, the harsh reality is when you first retire and you step away from that job and you step into this phase of life, whether you know it or not, you're going to leave behind some people, many people that you once thought were your everyday friends and that you're going to be friends forever. But the fact of the matter is, frankly, most of these people, based on our experience of being in this phase for 8 years now, they were situational friends. There were clients, there were work colleagues, there were centers of influence, networking people that we knew really well. We even knew many of them as a couple. But they were situational because they were friends because of our careers.
Well, I think the other thing that happens, Mark, is that...
Why do you say Mark?
Just because this is something that we hear from a lot of our viewers.
Wait, I'm going to get coaching. I feel it.
No coaching.
Mark's getting coaching.
No,
I can
but
feel it.
It's not just that you left your career. This phase of life, you may have left your entire community. You may have picked up and moved to a different part of the country, a warmer climate, let's say, because a lot of people do. They leave where they were. They leave everything all at one time. And that's where isolation can set in and loneliness can set in. And then this fear of putting yourself out there and making friends can set in because a lot of times you're in a completely new community. And that happened to us.
It did. And
so I wonder if we would have stayed in New York, would we have kept a lot of those friends that were in New York, in our sphere of influence, in, our everyday community, as well as in our workplace?
Well, we walked away from our jobs December of 2018, and we stayed in Westchester County until 2021. We had the house for 2 more years, and then we rented a condo for 3 years. So we were really there for about 5 more years.
Yeah, we got rid of the condo.
But not full time because we
got rid of the condo in 2020. So we retired in 2018, and we had about a year and a half that we still had the condo, but we weren't there. We were up in Connecticut.
That's true, because
we weren't there at all.
So I don't know. It's a good question. Would we still be friends with many of those people? I think we are friends with the people in New York that we wanted to be friends with. I mean, you've got a handful and I have a handful.
Yeah.
And we are very intentional in staying in touch. But the real thing for us to talk about today is this process of making new friends after the age of 60. And
it's really
I thought you were going to slide.
It's really about the mistakes.
Well, I thought you were going to start coaching me, and I'm sure at some point you will on this video,
I
because I'm not good at this. I'm not good at making friends. And we're going to tell you 3 things that you have to stop doing in order to make friends. And the first one is to stop waiting for friends to come to you, because it's not going to happen. New friends don't just knock on your front door and say, "Hi, I see you moved into the neighborhood. I want to be your friend." No, people don't even want to talk to you if you're a neighbor anymore. It's not like it used to be growing up. You have to work at it. What
neighborhood do you live in?
I live in the same. Well, because of you, people are scared to come to the front door. You know what I mean. People don't just knock on the door and say, "Welcome to the neighborhood." Not like they used to. You do.
I do.
You walk around knocking on people's doors.
I did, for example, in Ocean City, 2 doors down from us, the first floor finally sold, and I went over and brought them flowers and said, "We're not here much longer, but welcome to the neighborhood." And
I told you I suck at this. That's the thing.
I think you have to have a bigger kind of perspective on humanity, and humanity is what you make it in your smaller circles. I walk Ruby. I probably know 80% of all of our neighbors.
I don't know any of them.
But you don't.
Because I suck at it. That's what I said in the beginning. So, yeah, I'm giving my perspective. I'm not walking around knocking on doors.
Right.
I will say hello. I will wave. you're a lot better at it. You're a social butterfly.
Well, I do think, and we have experienced not only clients, but certainly family members that kind of sit and wait for people to knock on their door. So the first mistake would be get yourself out there, whether you have a dog or you want to start walking in the morning, and a lot of your neighborhood walks, and you can put yourself in social circles, or, you can put yourself in a, YMCA or a gym setting where there is some community building, a faith-based organization, something, but sitting and waiting for your phone to ring or someone to knock on your door is not a good strategy.
Well, I am getting better at it. I am spending more time. I'm being more intentional. And the one thing that I would say that I'm surprised at, or maybe not surprised at, but encouraged by, is when I do walk into a coffee shop and see a man sitting by himself, and I say hello, and he says hello back, and I might be sitting next to him. We strike up a conversation. He's looking for friends too. I mean, he's in the same boat that I'm in. Not exactly, but he's in retirement, doesn't really have a lot of friends. He'd like to make more friends. He moved from, down here in Marco, a lot of people from the Midwest. So he's moved from Wisconsin or Minnesota, and he's looking to make some new friends. So I am encouraged every time you encourage me, and I do it, that something magical happens.
Yeah, I mean, I will slide right into the second mistake people make, and that is, your new friends are not going to feel like your old friends. And that's not a bad thing. It's just a different thing. Your old friends have history with you. They watched you perhaps raise your kids or struggle through, work challenges, or celebrate with you on big promotions or big accomplishments that you or your children had. They know perhaps your parents, a lot of my old friends knew my mom really well. And, that provides this certain connection, that I have with them. Your new friends don't start with that history. So the friendship could take a different feeling. And I think you just have to continue down the path with intention, looking for healthy, joyful relationships, and they can still be that.
And I think the point there is that, yes, the new friends are not going to feel like the old friends. And if that's your expectation, the point here is you have to stop doing that, because they're not going to feel that way. So you need to feel them for who they are. You need to feel into the relationship. You need to find some things you have in common, and maybe get over a little bit of the awkwardness, maybe get over a few of the things about this new person that, I wish he was more like Bill, who I played golf with for 30 years, and we joked around a lot more. But if you lean into who this person is and get to know them, you will create the new friendship that doesn't have to feel like the old one. It needs to feel like the new one. Because if you're stuck on that, you're not going to go out. You're not going to make new friends, and you're just going to be stubborn about it, and you're going to end up being alone, and that's not good.
And I think one of the key elements to kind of righting this wrong, or fixing this mistake, is to be curious, be interested. Not just interesting, be interested in, things that they have done in their life, asking a lot of questions, being a really good listener, holding space for their long stories. And I think this is where you struggle sometimes, because when you meet people for the first time, some of them want to tell you a lot about themselves. And to hang in there on the stories and hold space for them to tell you about their children, about their grandchildren, about their work, their history, about where they grew up, about their faith, whatever it is, it takes some hanging in there.
Yeah, I get that. And, the third thing that we wanted to talk about is this idea of giving up. Stop trying to give up. It's not going to be perfect. It's a process. And I tend to do that. The men's golf league last winter, I pushed off. I didn't want to do it. Then I started to do it. Then I started getting matched up with people I didn't really, this whole thing. They weren't like my old friends. I didn't really enjoy their company until I met Lou. And I did a video on him. What was the name of that video?
Lessons from a 90-year-old?
Yeah, 90-year-old. So I played golf with this guy, Lou. I'll put the link to the video down below, the second link. But I opened up, and I got patient, because 3 holes, it was really quiet. He wasn't talking. He wasn't opening up. Then I did what you just said. I asked a lot of questions about his life.
Right.
And I found we have a lot in common. You know, he still owns a business. His 3 sons are in with him. He loves to play golf. He's just a really happy guy. And he's 90 years old.
Right.
And I'm 68. So I really, enjoyed that. By the way, there's a download below in the show notes, the first link. And it's a free PDF, and it's a relationship toolkit that will help you with some of the things that we're talking about today. Not what to stop doing, but some things that you can start doing to meet new people and work on relationships.
Yeah. And back to that third point, when you just take yourself out of the mix, that is you consciously choosing isolation when you take yourself out of the mix. And I get it. Sometimes even my social battery wears out sometimes.
Yeah.
So I get taking yourself out of the mix for a short time and doing that, consciously. But when you unconsciously take yourself out of the mix because you're locked up in a Netflix binge watch, or you're, just deciding that, today you don't feel like getting out of bed, or you're wasting time scrolling on your phone, or, you're wrapped up or mired into some other things that are happening within your 4 walls or your home. You need to course correct and say to yourself, I'm making the decision to take myself out of the mix. And then I would ask yourself the following question, like, for how long am I going to take myself out of the mix? Because the isolation factor, when you do that, is so detrimental to your health. And it's just not worth whatever the binge watching you're doing or whatever the scrolling you're doing. Human connection is going to be more important to you these days than I think it ever was.
I agree. It's really good. Let's take a look at some questions our team put together on this topic. This is from Nancy, who's 63, and she says she just moved into a new town, and we've done that multiple times, and don't know anyone. Where should I start meeting people? Well, where we started to meet people, I remember when we moved to Essex, we didn't know anybody. We joined the gym. We joined a social club. We had our boat on the boat dock, and we were really good about... The funny thing about boat people is they're all happy and they want to meet you because you walk by,
right.
They're on the back of their boat and you're saying hi. So we did those 3 things, and it grew from there, right?
Yeah.
Just try to start new people, and we volunteered a little bit. So trying to find something, Nancy, it could be a church, your faith-based organization. It could be volunteering. It could be you walking your dog and knocking on the doors of the neighbors.
I don't
introducing
knock, but
yourself.
If they're outside, and God love her, Ruby is so cute. Everybody wants to see her.
That's true.
That she's a little magnet for me.
So find something that you're passionate about, you care about, and instead of going to the gym by yourself with earbuds in, doing your workout, do a class, and you'll meet people.
There you go. Good.
Okay. All right. This is from Robert. He's 67. My wife is more social than I am. It sounds like me, Robert. You married a Jody. How can introverts like me, because I'm a self-described introvert, build new friendships? Well, Robert, first of all, I will tell you, for introverts, it's hard. So it's going to take more energy than you think. It's going to take more practice than you think. It's going to take more failures than you want. And it's going to take a lot of intention and energy from you. When I walk into a room filled with 20 people that I don't know, I have to really build up a tremendous amount of energy to walk around and put a smile on my face. How are you? My name's Mark. What's your name? But that's what you need to do. You can't just walk in and stand in the corner.
Yeah.
And it's natural for you to do that. I admire that so many times when you're in a party. Many times I just follow you around, and then I meet people that way.
Yeah.
On Jody's coattails.
Yeah. I would say, Robert, pace yourself so you don't get low energy battery on meeting people, so that you then pull yourself out altogether, like we talked about. And the second thing I would say is challenge your bandwidth for people's stories. People like to talk and they like to be heard. And if you have the bandwidth to hang in there in an interested way, you will connect with more people.
Yeah.
I think when you lose bandwidth or cut people off or, get short or get frustrated, that makes it even harder for an introvert to meet people.
Yeah. Hey, I hope you like this video. This next one, give me 15 minutes and I'll save you 6 years of retirement mistakes is a great video to watch after this one. So watch this next.